Hi, welcome to Kilgore's Lair, and this is the first session of a Blackmoor campaign focused on the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor. And I have some folks playing with me that I've known a long, long time, and we're all involved on one level or another in Dave Arneson's Blackmoor MMORPG, or they were very good friends of mine and have gamed with me extensively. Couple notes for the table here. Um, Ted's standard rule of, all things are assumed to be role playing interaction kind of applies. So if we have, the merchant prince in front of us and we begin to, talk about how to scam the merchant prince, perhaps he'll hear us in that conversation. So be aware of that. Secondly, I'm going to call for some things to be hidden roles, some things will be open roles. For the majority of the roles, will be hidden for a lot of things, and that's to have us all focused on the narrative is more than the mechanics. And I will provide you feedback on information so you have a feeling what you know based on that. If you'd all like to introduce yourselves, start at the top, and Magic Barth, please go.
Hi, I'm Jen Barth, also Magic Barth on Twitter. I wrote a couple of modules for Blackmoor MMORPG. Uh, which was the Blackmoor Wives Club, which was my first anniversary present to my husband, and Heroes on Ice, and I demanded that we have that title. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what kind of role player I am. I'll be playing Jenna Pink, a delightful gnome.
So Phil, go right ahead.
I also wrote for Blackmoor, Chunk of the Wizards Cabal arcs. Worked with Terra Incorporated and built out a lot of the Underdark for you guys, and wrote a couple BIs and did a little 5e series as well about a few months ago. I have no social presence whatsoever, so don't worry about following me just yet. And I will be playing Idris Regan.
Jimmy, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Forlasanto on Twitch, and this is probably my first experience with Blackmoor.
All right. Mr. Turrell, would you please introduce yourself, please?
My name is Matthew Terrell, and I also worked with Terra Incorporated and collaborated with them, and also wrote some stuff individually with Blackmoor. I also do not have any social presence, so you don't have to worry about following me either. And I'll be playing the unscrupulous halfling Penny.
All right. What I've been doing while everybody's been talking is I've been feeding you a little bit of information you received today by, either your contacts, members of your family, about what their kind of expectations are. Now, we've all sat down and we've had some, background character discussions about why your character are in Blackmoor City, what your relationship is to the Crown, to the University of Blackmoor, other places within the city. And what you've just received is that little nudge that you all knew was coming to point you towards, the dungeons of, Castle Blackmoor. And, some common knowledge things that are just, a little, well known about the dungeons and also about Blackmoor Castle, or the Blackmoor Castle is ancient, and it's had multiple iterations where it's been torn down and put back up, and the space underneath it goes back for millennia. And recently, actually, a horde of orcs poured out of Castle Blackmoor and ended up sacking the castle and sacking the city. And this was also, simultaneously with an invasion by the Egg, which is one of the nefarious villains that is present in Castle Blackmoor and also in the nation of Blackmoor. So this space, although it's been reoccupied by the king, King Uther Pendragon, is never been safe and has been mysterious and has never been truly and absolutely defined by the sages and members of the Wizards Cabal that, all have spent time here and have studied it and attempted to gain knowledge of it. So you are going, for one reason or another, off to the comeback in. And the comeback in is one of those spaces in the city also that is beyond time. And there's all sorts of weird things about the comeback in. First of all, Old Bats, who's the innkeeper and has been the innkeeper there and the tavern keeper for ages, is an ogre. And nobody really knows how that happened. But as long as people have talked about the inn, they've talked about him. And also, one of the things about the comeback in that's common knowledge is you can enter, but you can only leave if somebody reaches in from the outside and pulls your hand through, and Bats is okay with you leaving. So Obviously, a very, very magical place, a mystical place, imbued with various sorts of mythals and wards. And it is tied back to, on some level, the origins of Blackmoor itself. And Blackmoor is named after the Moors, and the dark rock, the black rock that rests at the center of the peninsula, and is imbued with mystical energy in places like nowhere else in the world. So you head to the come back in. Tell you what, everybody drop initiative for me real quick. All right. Let's see, Penny. You arrive first, and you're actually fairly well known and to come back in. And as you come towards the door, one of the guards nods at you and he opens the door for you. And these are big strapping young Thonian men, you know that classic cut. They got tan skins, brown hair, brown eyes, fairly well muscled. He pops the door open and nods, and you stride through. And you step into the when you step into the come back in, all right. It's a change in air. It's a change in what it feels like. It's a change in the humidity. It's not typical. It's like walking into another environment. And you step through the door, and places filled with all sorts of folks. There is uh, probably 25, 30 different folks of different descriptions in here. Obviously some men at arms. A couple people that are clearly the lower level clerks in the Temple of Odir. And the staff is whistling around as we speak. As you speak, getting ready to um, enter the inn, or getting ready to eat, engage, or drink. Old Bat sees you from behind the bar, and gives you a bellow.
Oh, hey, how you doing, Bats? It's always a pleasure. Waiting on some peoples to get here. I think we're all gonna go die somewhere, but it was a good run while we had it.
Oh, yeah, it's good to see you. Always good to see you, most certainly. So, you here for a meeting, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, I'm here to meet some, I guess, nice noble folks that are like smart and stuff. I don't really know, not my kind of people, but it pays the bills for today at least.
Well, I would imagine they'll be here in time. What I want you to do, do me a favor then. Uh, Head back into the bar, or behind the bar there to the kitchen, and talk to Mukhtar. He'll get you where you need to go. And as you come around the corner, he or she hands you this little token. All right, and says, "Just be holding that in your hand, and you'll be fine. It'll take you right where you need to go."
All right, how will I know this fella that you told me to go see behind the? What's he look like?
Mukhtar, oh, he's the Havlin cook. Got that scar on his face. He's relatively new, but he'll know you. You know, Folks know Penny here. I've been making certain they know.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll go talk to that guy. Halfling scar on his face. Sounds like a one of a kind kind of character.
Ha ha. Yeah, well, you're still prettier. So as
Oh,
you
oh, thanks, Bats.
so you whip around the corner, and when you've whipped around the corner, as soon as you start to step in the kitchen, the cook looks up at you and starts to smile. You disappear and you move to someplace else, and we'll get back to you. All right, um, Delbert, you come back in, and the men at the door nod to you, and they open it for you. And they're properly differential for your station. You are a Hythonian. You carry the marks of the Wizard's Cabal, so they recognize who you are, and they recognize at least your station, if not your personality. And you've been in the comeback in before. This is an interesting place. It's hardwired into the history of Blackmoor. Your father's brought you here. You've gone here. You get to see folks that have all sorts of different experiences. And when as you spent your time at the University of Blackmoor, there's also quite a few people who will come here as students to rub elbows with people who have experiences that they don't necessarily have. So you come through the door.
Okay. I will knock on the door. Do I need to knock?
They when they see you, they open the door for you, the guardsmen.
Okay,
And
then I'll
the bounces, you know what I'm saying? But they recognize your station and let you in.
okay. I'll walk in and take a look around. Do I see the Do I see the old bats?
Old Bat sees you actually and makes eye contact, and Bat's is like, "Oh, oh, come here, you, come here. I think I know what you're here for. Come here, come here."
Okay, I'll walk over there a little nervously, I guess, knowing that he's going to try and touch me, and he's got that look about him that he's too handsy.
Well, and to that effect, these big old hands come out, right? And she actually releases her hands out and she reaches for yours and she scoops it up and she pats it and goes, "I know your brother pretty well. He's been in here quite a few times. Tell you what, hands you one of these tokens." And she goes, "Tell you what you need to do for the meeting you're here for. You go around the bar out towards the kitchen and talk to Mukhtar. He'll get you right where you need to go."
Thank you very much.
And you walk out around the corner, and I'll tell you what, though, this place, the food in here smells amazing. All right, so as you walk out back, it's good, solid Blackmoorian cuisine. I guess is the best way to describe it. The smell of the mutton with the garlic, spot on. And as you come around the corner and you go into the kitchen, you disappear. So, Idris,
Yes.
you are on your way to the comeback in.
All right. Uh, I will head on up and attempt to enter.
Um, they see you, all right, and the guy on the left, all right, might have been in a card game with you at one point, all right, and you might have fleeced him a little bit. So he sees you, and brow comes up, and he's like, "Good day, Idris." Opens the door for you and waves you in.
Thank you. Thank you. Good playing with you. Better taking your money.
They both sort of give you the side eye as you go through and shake their heads. So,
Hate the game, not the player, friends. I'll see you at tonight. Bring the money, high stakes.
so you step into the comeback in. All right. Um, one of the barmaids, all right, Sonny, sees you, smiles, and gives a little curtsy and heads over, to drop off the drinks that she has. Sonny. Sonny and you've met with her and talked to her and drank with her quite a few times. And Bats, all right, sees you and is like, "Idris, get over here."
Hello. Yes. How can I help you?
And shot glass, shot of whiskey, pushes it towards you. So somebody showed up and cleared out your tab. I guess I'm going to give you drinks again. Take your hit.
Well, who would have known water was so expensive? I mean, I don't drink, but
she slides a token across the counter towards you. All right. And she goes, "Take that back to the kitchen. It'll take you where you need to go."
oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Where are we going?
You know, I'm just sending you where I think you'll find a good home. Do you need help getting back to the kitchen? I can help you if you need me to. Just let me know.
Oh, I'm good. My hands are large enough to get me through there. I got it. It's okay. I head on into the kitchen.
All right, and you step around the corner. You see the halfling, and the halfling nods to you as you disappear. So, all right, Jenna Bank, you're on your
I
way to the
will, yeah.
You're on your way to the comeback in. The last thing your mother said to you was, "Now, dear, you will be around the Thonians. Keep in mind that they are fundamentally lustful, and you need to be aware that they may see you in different ways. Are you prepared to handle this? It'll be like being at school again in some ways, I think."
Oh yes, don't worry about this. I have this. I've been working on a particular gadget that will administer electrical impulses that will temporarily numb their appendages so they can't cause me issues.
I'm so proud of you, dear. And your father goes, "Oh my goodness, perhaps we can patent this. This might be useful for us." Hmm. And they send you on your way.
I collect myself and all of my research supplies and go to the come back in.
All right. And, very graciously, they open the door and let you in. And you've been in to come back in. I mean, your parents have been teaching at the University of Blackmoor for many, many, many years. So for you, this is really a matter of, going to a place that you've been before. Your mother and father have come in here and had meals before. You've come to hear different people sing and perform. This is a very interesting place filled with interesting people. And they sweep you through the door. You step in, and a little bit smoky, all sorts of people all through it, and old Bats is standing behind the counter. All right, and the waitresses, the barmaids are zipping on all directions. And just as you come in, a young individual about early 20s is starting to sit on one of the tables and begin to play a flute. What would you like to do?
Um, did my parents give me any direction when they arranged my research trip as to who I should communicate with when I got here?
No, they didn't give you exactly direct instruction.
Then I probably would go talk to old Bats. I mean, I enjoy the flute, but I am not here for my ethnographic studies right now. I am here to do extra research, cooler research.
So Bats leans over the counter and looks down at you. All right, and he goes, "So, Jenna, I believe you're here for something, are you not? How are your mother and father?"
Oh, they're great. They've released me so I can go do research for the summer. So I don't have to TA all of those stupid humans. I mean, they are just
Oh, yes.
incredibly. Oh, anyway, I'm not here to do my normal ethnographic research, so I will not be sitting in the corner and observing everyone for hours on end while drinking your libations. But if you could please direct me to where you think the most advantageous research could be found, I would appreciate it.
Oh, most advantageous research. I think I have an answer for you. And he slides that little copper token across the bar. She does, pats it, and goes, "Why don't you take that and go back to talk to Mukhtar in the kitchen?"
Ooh, what is this? Is it magical? And like she takes out like a looking glass and is like, does it do things? Is there a trick puzzle to it? What?
Go ahead.
Unless Bat stops her, this may take half an hour to an hour of her just examining this thing.
Go ahead and make an Arcana check. Oh, now this is quite interesting. All right. There's a series of runes on the back side that indicate that it might be some sort of device linked to a portal. You're not absolutely certain, but one of the things that's rumored about the comeback in is that there are many places within it that go to other places. And you've actually asked the staff and you've asked Bats questions about like there's this long staff with a gem on the other side of it and a weird handle in the middle over on the walls, and you've asked them where that came from because you've never seen anything like it, and it seems to be mechanical. And they say, well, one of our visitors dropped it off, and there's just things all over this space that are unusual and distinct. And this kind of is the first material evidence you've had that there might be portals within this, and this might be linked to one, you think. And you had just recently, fortuitously, been doing some research on interstitial, interplanar points of contact and transition zones, and this seems like it might be a device to assist in such transport.
Ooh, where did you say? Who do I have to talk to?
Go
Oh,
around and talk to Mukhtar. Mukhtar will be right there for you.
fantastic. And she like goes at what she would consider the fastest she's allowed to go without running, which is like, socially acceptable.
So you zip around the corner, all right,
Yes,
and
I
you
want to
actually
activate portals.
so you actually have to zip underneath, zip between Bats' legs as Bats turns to see it coming. So your head guts underneath her, her leather pants, and you go around the corner towards the inn, towards the kitchen. And when you step into the kitchen, You were transported. All right. DM's placing you all on a map, so you will get to see what's going on in a second here. All right. You had all sat down as you came into this, large room. And everybody go ahead and make a perception check as you come into this room. All right. All right. Sitting across from you is a kind of nondescript Thonian man. All right. And he is um, late 40s, early 50s, balding, scarred knuckles, working man's hands, no doubt about that. And, you know, he had, as you each came in, he gestured toward the table and said, "We're waiting for other people to come." And, had been more than willing to answer a few questions from each of you. So, you know, let's see. I believe, Penny, you were the first one in, weren't you?
That's correct.
Did you have anything you wanted to ask him?
So, am I supposed to be waiting here with you, or are you joining us? Who are you?
My name's Percy Bryn, and I will be assisting you. Please have a seat. If you'd like some wine, there's some wine there. A little bit of cheese, too. Water, if that's all you want. But yes, we'll be waiting for some other compatriots. I believe you have been given the overarching picture of what rests in front of us, have you not?
Yeah, you mean our imminent doom and the icy cold tomb you are sending us all to? Yes, I have been made aware of that.
Well, it's good to
Thank you.
see. One of the things I'm impressed with Decry is their positive nature and how they always see the best in all things. And you have not disappointed me in this. And he gives you a big old cheesy smile. And then you hear a pop behind you, and Delbert steps in. He goes, "Ah, good Delbert Galen," and he gives you a Thonian's response to a High Thonian when he arrives. He gives you a slight bow, inclining his head and touching his forehead, and he says, "Please, good sir, have a seat."
Thank you.
So, may I introduce Penny? Penny is well known to me, well known to some of the people that you will no doubt meet soon, and she will be traveling, perhaps with you as a compatriot, if we can come to some sort of reconciliation. And he goes, "Penny, this is Delbert Galen. Now, you guys kind of know each other, Penny. You've done some courier work for his family, and his family is relatively affluent Hythonians, and he is clearly a member of the Cabal. All right, he's wearing clothes that are worth, what you've made in months. All right, brocaded silks, fine satins. I mean, he is, obviously a member of the upper class. So, Um, and you hear a pop behind you, and Penny, it's Delbert. I mean, Penny, it's Idris, no doubt about it. "Idris," says Percy,
Well, well, well.
"come and sit." And he points to it. And you guys, you both know Idris on one level. But Idris was one of those guys at Blackmoor University who was at every party, who knew everyone, and although his academic performance was never exceptional, his social performance was top tier. I guess is the best way to describe it. So, and then
I see you have my meats and cheeses. Excuse me. Let me just get those.
Hands off the cheese plate, all right, Idris? Listen, last time you were around a cheese plate, there was nothing left, and we're all just scrounging around looking for scraps. Why don't you just back off, all right, this time?
Hey, whatever they provide, I take. It's what I do. You
Yeah,
never know
your
when you're
people are
gonna have
real
your
good
last
about
meal or
taking.
your next meal.
Jedabink pops in behind you, and they're squabbling over the hors d'oeuvres, from what you can tell.
I sit and observe.
All right, I will plunk you down right here, if that works for you. I am pleased to have you all present here. Um, some of you may have met me, and I will uh, refresh your mind. Um, I am known as a caravanserai. So what I do is I provide services for individuals who travel in and out of towns. And when he says that, you're like, oh yeah, he's got these big stables outside of town. He also, is constantly buying and reselling goods that come in. He's got some warehouses. It occurs to you also, um, Penny, that you might have inside knowledge of his warehouses in ways that you perhaps should not discuss with him. I guess is the best way to describe that. All right. And he, says, and that is how I am most commonly known. But I have other duties that I have taken on at times. I also assist the Cabal in the University of Blackmoor, and occasionally the Regency Council in communicating information that is needed to be communicated to key individuals. Um, there are things that I do need to share with you. But before we move forward, um, let me be clear about a few things. Um, the things that I am going to tell you um, cannot be easily repeated. Um, in some ways, I have given you more information than I should, but as some of you are Hythodian nobles and you, Jenna, are very well thought of by the university, I'm willing to share some things. But before we move forward, I will need you all to consider swearing an oath of secrecy, one that is binding, because the things I share with you are secrets of the state. They are important in that they will help resolve problems that compromise all of us and put the citizenry of Blackmoor at risk. Additionally, um, some things, if they were repeated and known by the masses, would cause trauma for them. So I will say to you very clearly what the goals of the Regency Council are and what King Uther's goals are, and I will state them explicitly and directly now so we are clear. We are surrounded by forces that do not respect the diversity amongst us. The Afridi enslaved, they have taken the Decry, like friend Penny, and made slaves out of them and whipped, scorned, and tortured them. To the southwest Chthonian Empire, who sees an ultimate ruler who is distant from us and does not care for the differences amongst us and would see the elves and the dwarves bound as slaves as opposed to our compatriots. So we have orcs that exist en masse in the mountains and the crystal peaks. So then we have to the north the Skandaharans who raid and destroy, and then the Egg, whose manifestation in these last 100 years has been a source of untoward torture for all of us. And what Blackmoor stands for, what I ask you to stand for, is the protection and unification of the species. 5 of the blessed races, 5 are the fingers of a fist. We strike in Uther's name to protect all of us. So, I would share more detail with you that will give you an opportunity to engage in such things. But first, I must ask you to swear that you will not share anything you hear within this room except with individuals that I direct you to and with each other. And he takes out from underneath the table, all right? He looks at his drawer in the side of the table, and he opens it up and he sets it down. This massive, um, about a foot across chunk of amethyst. and sets it on the table. And he says, place your hand on it and swear not to repeat what you hear to anyone else save the members of this group or the individuals I tell you you may speak to. Please do so if you are comfortable. You may ask me questions before you do so, of course. If you have any training in Arcana, go ahead and make an Arcana roll.
Penny will place her hand on the stone, and yeah, I swear not to tell anybody, and wink at the other people.
All right, go ahead and drop a Wisdom save into the tower, please. And Jen and Delbert, I mean Jenna Bank and Delbert, you both know that this is amethyst, and it's probably tied to enchantment magic. That's the stone that's associated with enchantment magic. And you know that orbs of binding are made by the Cabal, and there's one for each school of magic, and Uther is known to have many of them. And some of them, like this one, is probably related to some sort of Gaius effect. But there are other ones that are used, like to entrap demons, or to bind elementals, or to act as the center of a ward, like abjuration. So these sorts of stones are magical focused, used to um, conduct some sort of magical effect that's specified. All right. So what you see Penny just steps forward, puts her hand on it, and touches, and there's this purple flash, and then there's this faint lavender glow that sort of fades from her. And Percy nods, and he goes, "Who is next? Any other questions?"
Before I do this,
What
I
was
have to
that?
understand. Can I, like, how is this going to affect me doing any peer-reviewed journal entries and white papers and academic research? I mean, I have to. Part of this research is for me to, take things back to the university, and I can't take an NDA if I can't ever publish anything.
Oh no, we
Eh,
will. Over time, you'll have an opportunity to share what you learn. Once it's clear what the nature of things are, I trust your discretion, but we will create opportunity for you to share information over time. Initially, you'll be in a data collection phase, and it would be premature to share what you uncover prior to that. Does that make sense, Jenna?
Oh, absolutely. And I completely understand that the humans, I mean, the masses of people could get scared if they get too much intellectual saturation at one time. I will then place my hand on the orb. I swear to keep this secret until such time as I am given release from my NDA to publish this.
All right, go ahead and
and,
make a wisdom save into the tower.
and more importantly, what was that flash? I didn't agree to no magic stuff. What was that? I thought I was just swearing I wasn't gonna tell nobody nothing.
Um, when you swore, the stone validated that your intentions were true, and if you should speak to someone about this, you will experience trauma.
Oh, so now you peoples are trying to control me too. I thought I was just going down to some hellhole to request some stuff back for you guys.
It was impetuous for you to slap your hand upon that without asking further questions. I am sorry, but were you planning on keeping your word, Penny?
Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. No, I don't know. You ever been stabbed in the face before?
We most certainly will. This will assist you in keeping your troth. Now,
You you people got a real funny way of assisting people. You know that?
and he goes, much is at stake, it will become clear to you why we have asked such of you. So,
Idris
let's.
puts his hand on the stone and says, "It's okay. I keep the best secrets. I keep all the secrets. It's gonna be a perfect swearing here. I, Idris Regan, swear not to talk about this to anybody at any time unless told to do so. Praise oh dear. God bless."
Go ahead and roll. Um, Idris, there's a flash, but you are not saturated by purple light. And Percy lifts his eye and he looks at you and he says, "Were you sincere in your pledge, sir?"
Of course, it was a perfect pledge. Perfect. I'll do it again for you.
I would ask you to
I,
swear again.
Idris Regan, swear again that I will not tell anybody of this conversation.
Go ahead and make a. um. All right. There is a flash and a faint purple glow, and you can sit down.
See,
Um, Delbert, what would you like to do?
I will walk over and place my hand on it and say, insofar as it doesn't interfere with my duties to the Cabal, I swear not to tell anyone about what I hear until released to do so by you.
Go ahead and make a save into the tower. Wisdom save. All right. You were surrounded by, um, you were surrounded by a brief aura of, you're surrounded by a brief aura of uh, lavender light, and it fades. All right. He rolls the table. He rolls the, sphere of binding into his hands and sets it down, um, into the drawer from before. And he says, um, "Thank you for your trust." And Penny, I understand your dismay. I understand your concern. But as we share more with you, I think it'll become clearer why we have made the decisions that we have, and have asked you to take on the risks that you have taken. Um, Sir, I think they're ready. So, gentleman walks around the corner, sits down next to you, and you all recognize him. All right. This is Fletcher William. All right. And Fletcher William is the dean at the University of Blackmoor. All right. He is, senior in every sense. He has a direct alliance with the Wizards Cabal. He has been a traveling companion of Uther Andahar over time, and he has his fingers in many, 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 many things. And he comes and he sits and he nods to each of you and he says, "So I must thank you for the time that you're spending with us today, and I must ask your pardon for, the restrictions we placed upon you. But I will be direct so you have an understanding of what has gone on. You all know that the, dungeons beneath Castle Blackmoor, that complex, has been a source of chagrin for the city, for the Lord, for the Regency Council for an extended period of time. You are all familiar with this, I imagine. And I'm going to talk to you a bit about the history that rests behind that to give you some idea about what we ask. This complex is ancient and comes before time out of mind. It reaches deep, deep, deep underneath the ground into the very black and mystical rock that underlies this country and this place. The complex has been changed over time. So, 100 years ago, the Ejig, G, the egg, as it's commonly known, the coot, as it's known by others, all right, manifested itself here, and the great peninsula to the northwest that had been a source of colonies for us in trade and raw materials became his domain, and none may pass on it in return. Simultaneously with that, there were fundamental changes in how the complex beneath us interacted. Now, as many places in Blackmoor are, there was a thin spot there, many thin spots that perhaps we thought touched other places, but we were not certain. Now we find many, many, many challenges and changes beneath the rock. Let me be specific. There have been, prior to you, 17 different groups that have been asked by our Lord to descend, and by the Regency Council, to descend into the depths of the dungeons, collect what information they could, and return it to us. I will tell you, with complete and total honesty, that none of those groups has reached the depths of that complex and been able to tell us everything that is beneath. And as you explore yourself and seek additional information, you will find discrepancies, I imagine, in what they all have to tell. We have tried individuals with storied histories as people to descend, and they have been grossly unsuccessful. One would think someone who had fought against the Afridi and the Thonians for 10 or 15 years, or had risen high in the Cabal, if they should descend down into a complex like this, they would, no doubt, be able to endure its challenges and return to us. Such has not been the case, as we have sent veterans down into the depths of the complex. They have not returned to us, or they have come back battered and beaten and unwilling to return. Now, we have also sent groups of middling experience, and they have had more success, but have been blunted. The most success we have had consistently seems to be with groups of young individuals of great promise who, although none has been successful, um, each group who matches your sort of dispositions and levels of experience in the world have had more greater success. Now, I'm not clear on all the reasons of that, but each of you, as handpicked by the Cabal or the Regency, or in at least one case, the King himself, for this task. Now, there is risk. But you are individuals of greater promise than ever we have gathered. Delbert, top of his class, uh, both at the University of Blackmoor and at the Cabal. Um, Likewise, Jenna Bink, um, brilliant in research and has uncovered the interactions of solvents and materials and the manifestation and creation of clockwork machines that no one else has. She is a visionary in many ways. So Penny has exhibited a resilience of spirit and a pool of intuitive resolve that is unmatched by anyone in her generation. And finally, Idris. Uh, he has charm. He has the ability to find himself in places and resolve them in his favor in ways that we do not see often. So the four of you have been handpicked for your skills. And what we would ask you to do is, under the protection and guidance of the University of Blackmoor, as my agents and indirectly the agents of the University of Blackmoor and the King himself, descend into the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor, capture what information you can, and bring it back to us so we can understand the nature of the threat that rests beneath the city. The city and castle, as you know, was sacked once by a horde of orcs. In the last 10 years, we have fought the Afridi, we have fought the Thonians, we've beaten off Skandaharan invasion, and the Egg of Kut has attempted to invade us 3 times. Uh, we have been resilient. We have resisted, but we cannot take an assault from below again. We must understand the nature of what rests below. Now I have spoken at length. I hope you have found it useful. Please, please, ask me what questions you may, and I will do my best to share what I know and answer them.
So Jenna Bink at least has been taking copious notes as soon as the dean sat down to look as smart as possible. Because I'm sure she's encountered him once or twice during some kind of faculty meetings with her parents. Um, but she will pipe up and, so what exactly are the hypotheses that you're trying to test for this particular set of research? I'm assuming we're kind of going to work this like a thesis and I report back to you?
Um, it is space, yes. That's what we require, Jenna Bank. We would like to know the nature of the facility beneath us. We would like to know if there are points of interplanar contact. We would like to know what shapes and drives that space below. And we would like to know if the egg does have a presence within, what shape does that take, and how may he be dislodged and or defeated. Are those statements clear as you formulate your thesis and a course of action?
Absolutely. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, it's clear. I
I,
can tell
I
you why we're gonna get this done. You hired a bunch of adventurers who are losers. We are winners. We're gonna go into this dungeon, and we're gonna go level by level, and we're gonna be winning so much and researching so much and bringing so much back. You're gonna get tired of all of it. That's what we're gonna do. We don't need notes. We don't need to know what's going on. We just need to get in there and get out, get on.
Your confidence is always refreshing, Idris. So,
It is my best feature.
two-part question actually I got for you. One, if let's say that big amethyst stone thing were to subsequently go missing and then be shattered into a bunch of pieces, would we still all be legally bound to like not talk about this?
Penny, would you give yourself inspiration because you almost made the DM break character? Um, Penny, I can tell, and I understand that you feel challenged inappropriately by this and that you feel betrayed on some level, but you can certainly see the risk for the state in this and understand why we place those restrictions on you. Now, Svale believes you can be trusted and that um, your heart is true. If you ask me directly to release you from the Gias, I would do so. But let's say you're captured. Let's say you're tortured. Let's say information is wrung from you like juice from wine grapes. Um, the restrictions, the magical compulsions you're under protect you from compromising yourself and also protect us. But if it makes you that uncomfortable, uh, I will sever those restrictions for you because although we want your discretion, your free will is critically important to us also, and also to Uther Andahar. That is why we asked your permission before we had you swear.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could just get rid of that. And second question is there going to be more cheese plates?
Um, we can provide copious nutrition and libation based on your need.
Okay, yeah, that was all. If you can remove the whole magic thing you got on me, making me not able to tell people things, that'd be great. I pinky promise that I will make sure to try not to tell anybody. And if I get captured, I'll try my best to die and not get tortured.
Would everybody please make intuition checks?
I totally believe her. She would be the best at dying and not telling people things.
Okay. Jenna, You think Percy might be a little pissed. All right. And he's a little frustrated. You see him get a little red across his forehead and lean forward, kind of grabbing his knees. Fletcher Williams is not paying attention to him. Uh, Penny, you needled Percy pretty fucking hard with this. All right. And he reaches into the drawer and says a couple things, and there's a pale flash of lavender light as it fades. All right. Fletcher William is amused by your request, and you wouldn't say that there's malice underneath it, but you're pretty certain if you break oath with this guy after he's released you as an article of good faith, there might be some pretty profound consequences for you. So he's doing what you ask out of respect for you, but to break into the cont, if you fuck this guy, he's gonna whack you so hard you ain't gonna be nothing left but a grease smear. You know what I'm saying?
I really do appreciate everything y'all are doing for me. I just don't like anything binding me down. And honestly, like even your locks aren't that good. Percy from um, what we're talking about here is thank you is the words I was meaning to say. About that cheese, I'm gonna stop talking now.
Well, Fletcher says, so I know that the Afridi bound you. They tortured you, and they restricted your freedoms, and you are Decry. Decry resists that at the core of their being, and you have asked, and I, in good faith, have released you from this bind, because that is not who we are in Blackmoor. And I want you to remember that as you move forward. But, but that being said, you must have other questions. What would you want to know? I have laid out the risk and challenge in front of you. There must be other things you would like to understand.
I assume we have salvage rights for whatever we find in there.
Oh, absolutely. Several things. Anything you find, we will also help you identify. As we have an understanding of what support you may need, we will work with the Cabal and, the experts within the University of Blackmoor who specialize in clockwork devices to provide additional gear to assist you. We want you to be successful. As a token of our initial support, and he snaps his finger at Percy, and Percy brings out a little lacquered mahogany case and sets it down and pops it open, and there's 8 bottles there. Each of these is a potion that will, heal damage that you have taken and seal up open wounds. So I have 2 for each of you, and you may use them however you choose. It's not, proprietary. If you choose to give more to one or use them to support each other, we don't care. But there are 8 potions of healing to support you in what you'll do. And any items you find are yours. And if you need our assistance identifying them, we will help you identify them.
Are we able to get any information from what the other teams did so we don't make the same mistakes as them because we're so good at doing this?
There are 3 individuals that you may want to speak with that are still active and alive here. There are other individuals that have traveled throughout Blackmoor. Some have fled to Thonia, some have gone to other places, but there are 3 here within the city who have some experience. Sister Angela of Odir, who works now who performs penitent service as a acolyte of Odir here in the Temple of Odir. Then there is Swatha Bandolin, and the Bandolins, of course, the Hythonian nobles know this house. It's a minor noble house. They hold some land to the north and have a country house here within the city. Swatha Bandolin is also someone you might speak to, and he is at the manor house here in town. You'll have to catch him sober, but he's there. And then at the University of Blackmoor, we have an individual under observation called Pulinus Methwa. And you recognize Methwa as a Kamasti name. And he is a little unstable, but might have information you would find useful.
Thank you. Thank you. Takes another chunk of cheese. It really is quite delicious, Penny. I mean, if you're not packing on geese, you might as well pack on the pounds.
Well,
I don't think I've ever hated you more than right now. I just want you to know that.
I have a key.
You may find that cheese to be more binding than the geas.
Ooh, good words.
Percy laughs out loud. So, yeah. So, things I do know that I will share. Some last tidbits for you. Um, the format and layout of the complex does not seem fixed, and you'll confirm this in the conversations that you have. Different groups report different layouts and different occupants. What that mechanism is, we have no idea, but what you find may not be what others have found. Secondly, um, teleportation magic and divination magic malfunction consistently when used within. And we have, attempted this. And all the characteristics that I've described to you, the deeper you go, the more aggravated the effect. So, what else can I share with you?
How do we get out if we need to?
You will be given um, a seal, the King's Seal, that will be used to open the door once. Then, when you return, you will place the seal on the door, and it will open again. And we have placed greater and greater restrictions on entrance and exit from the complex because of the challenges we've had with untoward beings leaking through the seals of the gate. So we'll give you entrance, and we'll give you exit, but we will only have one seal carried by your group, and they will not open the doors. The Kabasti who guard the gates to the dungeons of Castle Blackmoor will not open the doors unless that seal is used.
So if we lost that seal, essentially we'd be, how do you say, shit out of luck?
Uh, the level of risk and challenge you would face would increase substantially. Now,
I, for one, vote that we not give that to Idris.
Yeah, I second that vote.
I concur.
Fine, but I get first dibs on the next item.
Yeah, here's a piece of cheese.
Thanks.
Now, granted, if you were to disappear and be long overdue, we would send a group in to determine if we could find what had happened to you. And we wouldn't want to travel too far from the portal, but we would do at least some reconnaissance. And that would happen within 72 hours of someone's attempt to open the door. So far, that protocol has not compromised us, but if it did, we'd have to rethink. But so far, if we've had a group that, if something is attempted to pass through the gate and we have reason to believe it might be one of the people that we have sent below, we have attempted retrieval. And sometimes that's been quite successful, and sometimes it has not. So we have to be more secure, and if you lose it, there will be a consequence because we will not immediately sally forth into the dungeon. It could take 2, 3, 4, 5 days for us to feel that the risk has been diminished and is appropriate. But the best course of action is not to lose the seal.
Can you describe in detail what has occurred to those that you've sent down in the past? Have they died by acid, cold, desiccation? I mean, I need details on this so I can better avoid those kind of fates.
Well, you'll be interviewing some people who've had that exact experience, and they can share that detail with you. Um, Some have died, crushed within traps. Some have been ripped limb from limb by other creatures. Some who return are mad, their sanity shattered by what they have seen. And many, unfortunately, have disappeared within and never returned.
Perhaps we can solve some unsolved mysteries.
That is my great hope, Idris. That is the hope of the Regency Council, and that is also the hope of your king.
That's what we do. Or will do. For you, too.
And he, salutes you. And that's one of the symbols of, the Knights of Deer.
I salute him back, and as I drop my salute, I go and grab 2 of those potions of healing and draw them back towards me. It's for the cheese, the cheese.
Very good. Other questions? All right. We are well met. We can provide lodging for you. You may stay at the University of Blackmoor, or if you so choose, we can provide accommodations here and to come back in. You will have our support in that. You need not worry about food, libation, place to stay. We will support you fully in that. Additionally, um, we will provide you with some coin to purchase additional basic goods as you need to support you in what you're choosing to do here. So, and he snaps his fingers, and Penny again reaches down in and pulls out a sack and drops it on the table, and he goes, "There's 100 gold coins there. So as you need additional gear, please go and get what you need. I would ask you, though, within the next 7 days, to prepare yourself to descend again. It's important that this research continues, and it's important that we move forward as rapidly as we possibly can." Any additional questions?
So to be clear, is it 1 bag with 100 gold or 4 bags of 100 gold?
One bag with 100 gold. So he's giving you an additional 100 gold to be able to use 25 gold pieces each as needed.
I will reach forward and take my 25 gold pieces and then put the bag back on the table.
I'll do the same.
All right.
Likewise.
I'll also do the same.
All right. Does everybody take 2 potions of healing too?
Yes.
Outstanding. Thank you for trusting us and for making the sacrifices that you're prepared to make. We don't ask this lightly of you, and I want you to understand that you have the full support of the state, the full support of the crown, in what you're being asked to do. Well then, I must go. When you are ready to leave, hold the copper token in your hand and walk directly towards the wall where you manifested, and you will find yourself in the kitchen. Any other questions for me before I leave? Very good. I will make certain Mukhtar sends down some outstanding food for you, so you may discuss this and work through the specifics. And he says, "Percy, with me." And Percy stands up beside him. The 2 of them walk towards the wall and disappear, transmuted into smoke and seeping through the ceiling.
So they're gone now, and it's just the 4 of us?
Yep.
Okay, now I understand that this is all like probably scary to all of you, but I am in this for the arcane science. So you will not get between me and learning all kinds of great arcane science. That said, we should prepare for things because preparation is the key to research and stuff. And so, where are we going to start with talking to these people?
I mean, you wrote down all the names and stuff, right? Because you seem like you keep track of that kind of stuff.
Of course I did, because that's important. Didn't you guys take notes?
In my mind,
Nah.
I did.
Yeah, he started talking about people, and I just kept hearing blah blah blah. Like I was waiting for the cheese to come out. I mean, one cheese platter for 4 people—that's a little ridiculous.
I totally understand. And it was nothing but goat cheese, and not even good goat cheese. But I think we should talk to the crazy person first. He sounds the most interesting.
Oh yeah, the elf, the Kumasti. Yeah, he seems like a real swell guy.
That would be Pulis Nethwa, and they were at the university, so yes, we can go there. Tad, would my character know about this person? Are there any rumors about a crazy person at the university or something?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't have the equivalent of a psychology department, but mental disorders are common, and a lot of times in this environment, it's directly tied to possession, right? So there are people at the University of Blackmoor and people within the cabal that are allied with the University of Blackmoor who will keep victims of such events for study. So there is a ward, all right, referred to as the Moon Ward, and there are people who stay there and who are helped to overcome um, mental illness. And sometimes it's a matter of getting them restrained, getting them calmed down, and having a cure disease cast on them. And sometimes it's more complex based on what the experience is. But this guy is probably within that, and that's not really your discipline. You haven't spent time there doing research. But yeah, it's the equivalent of a field lab for that specific discipline from your perspective. So, going to seek him out. What other plans do you want to make?
Well, I need to go buy some tools if we're gonna go down into a place. Last time I had some tools that help us get into and out of places. I may have lost them in a little game of dice or some stuff going on. So I'm going to need to replace those with some monies.
Very good. Any other gear y'all need to get? Any additional research you want to do? Who will be going to have the conversations with different folks? I mean, how do you want to approach things?
So I need to stop by a blacksmith at some point because I need a shield. I had spent the last of my money to buy tinkering things so I could have my I have a little tinkery owl that does things. But he cost the last of my TA funds. So I'll get a shield while I'm out, and I figure I'll go to the Moon Ward at the university. I don't know who's going with me.
I'll go with you.
Tad, for shopping stuff, do you just want us to
Yeah,
get rid of
absolutely.
that?
Yeah, you could just take care of that the way you want. I'm more than willing to role play through anything that you guys want to, but we don't necessarily have to do that unless you really want to. And you're well connected in town, and you'll be able to get what you need. You just want to make certain that you can purchase what you want for the price that you have. So if not, we might have to consult with your peers. So, hey, did we lose PJ? Did he have to drop off for his niece's thing?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to suggest we take like a 5-minute bio break, and we will hop back on and go from there. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. See y'all in a little bit.
All right.
Cool. See ya.
I'm back.
All right. Matt, you with us again?
I am back. Yep.
Excellent. All right. Once more into the breach. All right. So prior to break, um, we met at the comeback in with Fletcher William and Percy, and talked through what the challenges were for the Principality of Blackmoor, for the Kingdom of Blackmoor, regarding the dungeons underneath Castle Blackmoor. And y'all were going to figure out how you wanted to proceed, preparing before you headed down into the depths. So, what would we like to do?
Well, I believe that we're going to go talk to Fools Methwa at the university in the Moon Ward, and I don't think we should take Idris with us. I think he might disturb some of the patients.
Very good. So will everyone but Idris be going?
I mean, going talking to a crazy guy sounds like a fun time.
Penny, do you want to go or no?
Yeah, Penny will go.
All right. Um, I'm going to assume you spend the rest of today. All right. Did you decide? Question: Did you decide you're going to stay and to come back in, or were you going to take a lodging at the University of Blackmoor, or were you just going to stay, with your family, or where you've currently been staying?
I'm going to stay with my family.
Okay, so you're staying on the Galen estate. Um,
Yes.
Jenna Bink, how do you want to approach this?
I think I'm going to take up lodging at the Come Back In because it gives me an opportunity to research it, and I want to get the full research experience.
Penny, what's your stance?
Probably vagrancy right now.
All right. So you're gonna, just keep doing what you're doing for now. Don't necessarily want that attachment. Is that how I'm seeing this?
Yeah. Plus,
Okay.
I mean, room at the comeback in is going to be a little pricey, probably.
Well, they're paying for it. You don't have to pay for it.
Oh, if they're paying for it, man, I'll get a nice room.
Yeah. Based on the previous conversation you had, one of the things they promised you is, you don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about a bed. You don't have to worry about bath water. I mean, all those expenses are going to be taken care of. You don't have to budget anything at this point. All they expect you to do is keep quiet and support the folks you're with. So.
I mean, I don't know about that first part, but
All right. So you're heading to you're going to, finish up today, have something to eat, go back to your houses, and then meet at the University of Blackmore in the morning. Is that the plan?
and
Yes.
get all presentable.
All right. Good enough. Well, um, first bell strikes at sunrise, and you hear the bells from the temple ring across the city. And all the different houses here have, magical effects that keep track of time loosely. So, illumination occurs in different rooms and stuff, wakes you all up, and you gather your things and proceed to the University of Blackmore. And this area, the Moon Ward, the Moon Tower, you guys know how to get to. It's just a matter of heading into the university, going to the tower that the crazies are kept in, and asking for admittance. And I'm going to assume you meet and then go together. Is that accurate or no?
Going in together sounds like
All right.
a, a great plan.
All right. So, walked through the door, pops open into, an antechamber with some benches along the wall. There is a really heavy secure door on the other side, and there is a small, older woman sitting, at a table with her little desk. And, she sees you as you come in, and she lifts her head and she goes, "Oh, I'm seeing Jenna Bacon, Delbert Galen. Is that correct?"
It is.
I was told that we might be expecting you today. You're here to see poor Paulinus, are you not?
Yes.
We are.
Very good. Tell you what, I'm going to take you into the viewing room, and they're going to bring him in and secure him. Then I'll take you into the main room where you can sit down and meet with him, okay?
Very well.
All right, and so she stands up and she's got this big old ring of keys and she walks forward to the door and she opens the door and she swings the door open and it's fortified heavy door. All right, it doesn't have a bar across it, but you can see where the latches are on either side of the door that she could drop a bar into it, and there's a bar right there. And she's a little gal, but she seems real fit, spry. So she opens the door, and there's this corridor. All right, and you can see that there's a set of spiral staircases going up and down at the end of this little corridor, and off on your left and on your right, there's additional doors. And she walks to a door and she opens it open and swings it, and he steps in, and there's a series of wood chairs and stools, and then there is a series of bars, real heavy, thick bars that look out on a table, and the table's kind of nasty, beat up, and there's 3, 4 stools around it, and then there is um, a big, heavy, thick chair that looks like it's secured directly into the ground, right into the rock, and you can see bolts on the side of it, bolts into the ground, and it's rock solid, doesn't seem to have any flex in it. The joints are super, super, super tight. And she goes, I'll be right back to move you over. And she says, I'm not locking the door, so you know. If you do need to leave, just go and pound on the door there, and I'll let you out. But we weren't worried about that right now. I'll explain more. And so she leaves. All right. And after about 10 minutes, um, and you guys go ahead and drop some perception checks. Just drop them right in the tower there. Penny,
Did she
you're
just almost safely?
yes, she did. Uh, Jenna, you've got your heads down and you're taking notes, but Delbert and Penny definitely hear someone singing off in the distance. Oh, they bring me meat, they bring me meat, the sweet to eat, they bring me meat. Who do I see? Will they flee? And you hear this voice singing off in the background, all right? And you also hear, pretty thick Thonian accents, a couple men cursing, and they're definitely men, definitely heavy, thick voices. Come on, shut up, you, come on! And all of a sudden the door opens, and these two big, strapping, young Thonian men drag this bedraggled, ancient, beat-up looking half-elf into the room. All right, and they wrestle him over to the chair, and they sit him down, and one of them puts him in a headlock and pulls his hair back. All right, and the other one anchors him, right, and they wrap him in this big freaking net that ties his upper torso to the chair, and he struggles against it. And then they sit down and they put manacles on his ankles, bracing his legs up against the chair. All right, and they step back, and you can see
God, is he
that,
alive?
huh?
My God, is he alive?
Go ahead and make a Arcana check.
In the tower?
Yes, please. He is all right. That mark, that film over his eyes, is a mark of possession by the egg. So at some point he has been possessed by the egg and discarded. The only time anybody is freed from possession by the egg is if the egg rejects them for some reason. In general, once the egg has taken someone over and begun to use them as a vessel for them, there's no coming back from that. And one could argue, based on how insane he seems, that really, even if it discards you, there's really no coming back from this either. But he rocks his head back and forth, and he looks out through the bars at you, and he says, "Come to play, come to play, come to play, idiot! Hey! Come, 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 come! You want to speak? I can tell." And the guys that brought him in, actually, he's one of them's got a bite on his hand. You know what I mean? He's struggled and pounded on them, and to their credit, they transported him using the force that was necessary, but they haven't beat him up. All right, they just moved him and accepted the risk that came with moving him. So, little old lady comes back in and she opens the door and she goes, "Would you like to speak to him from here, or would you like to go inside and sit down with him? I mean, he'll be more direct and he'll listen to you if you come inside. If you hide behind the bars, he's probably going to be pretty nonsensical, but he's got to feel like he can see you and understand you afore he'll speak to you. I've seen this before as he's been working with some of the professors and such here."
Oh, well, if I'm going to do the best research in the room, clearly I have to enter the room. Who's coming with me?
Jen, inspiration, do it.
I, I'm gonna stay outside because yeah, he's crazy.
All right, so Penny wants no part of this. Jenna gets up and goes. How is Delbert approaching this?
Yes, I better go in.
All right. So Delbert stands up and walks in. And he goes, "Ooh, they come in all sizes, the sweet, tasty treats. Oh, I'll sing you a song all day long. What would you like to know?" And
So, observationally speaking, how many things can I roll to figure out, just from visuals, what's happened to him, anything about him?
um, first of all, you may both make intuition checks now that you're in the room with him. And it stinks in here. All right. It smells like open wounds and feces. He's repulsive, Jen. Repulsive. Yeah, he's a little bit disconcerting. Both of you are like, he's nuts. All right. Now, go ahead and make a medicine check. Both of you may. And please drop your. Oh, 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 nah, 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 nah. Oh, clearly, this individual was so suffering from post traumatic possession disorder. All right. The necrotic tissue that's formed on his face and hands has come from his body's repulsion of whatever possessed him and has permanently scarred and damaged him. All right. He is stark raving mad because a piece of his brain has been ripped out. You're absolutely certain about this. As a matter of fact, you had just been reading about it, last semester. All right, in one of those extra painter classes where they talked about, you were just thinking about it in terms of just how to, extract essence to be distilled down and made as a reagent. But at the same time, you found out about possession. And this guy has had a chunk of his mind ripped out. And you're looking at what's left of a man. And you rolled very well. This is a half elf. And also, from the timbre of his voice, you think he might have been a performer at some time. And he rocks. "You have come to play. The coot, the coot, the coot, he comes to share his bounty." Oh, yes, 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 yes. They
Would
have
you
sent.
like to ask him questions, Delbert? I'll record notes.
What happened to you?
"I found my own true love," she sang to me. "She made my heart happy as can be." uh, can't you sing? Let's sing together. Sing with me.
I would
uh,
be happy to sing with you, but you need to have like a chorus. Like most songs have an A B structure, and if you follow that, I would be happy to follow you and join in on the chorus.
oh, will you marry me? You know music. Can you sing, please sing? You can repeat after me. The coot, the coot, the coot. And I sing, okay? Could you do that? "Oh, he comes to eat our souls. He will make us whole." Sing.
The coot, the coot, the coot.
I will talk to you now. You are one of them boring men folk if you won't sing with me. Can you sing? Please sing. Say, the coot, the coot, the coot.
Delbert, I think you have to sing a few notes and it makes him happy, and he'll be more forthcoming with the information we need.
The coot, the coot, the coot.
Oh, please make a perform check for me. All that training in elocution is outstanding. As a matter of fact, Delbert stands and he goes into recitation mode, all right, like he's in a formal debate. And he goes, "The coot, the coot, the coot," and he projects, and it's crisp and it's clean. And he goes, "Oh, I have not had anyone who would sing with me. You will sing with me."
Ooh,
So,
can you do a verse where you talk about where you met the coot and your true love and all like that environ? Take us there.
ah, oh, deep down we go. and he shifts. Um, Anybody speak Abyssal?
Yes.
He says, "He has asked, and I have given. As he drinks from my spirit, I provide. He is the darkness. He knows. He has shattered the minds within and eats them to make himself whole. He gave me the gift of knowing all, and he took it! Ha, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot. When he comes, he eats your soul, but he will make you whole."
Well, that was disturbing.
I, and he says again in Abyssal, we fought down below. We fought, we had him. We thought we would encase him. We thought we would change him. We thought we had found all the broken minds, and the broken minds could be made whole. And he ripped us apart one by one and made us pieces of the greater meat. He hurt, but he made me whole. The coot, the coot, the coot. And of course, he's going into Abyssal and out of Abyssal, into Abyssal and out of Abyssal. And Jenna Bink, go ahead and make an intuition check. This is some crazy fucking shit. That's all you know. All right. I think, I think, I think. So I will sing again. I will sing. Into the dark we found the marks. We followed the stair that led nowhere. We walked through the wind into the cave. Within the cave we heard the waves. Within the waves we found the fish. Inside the fish we died. We died, we died, you died. Yes, yes. There is a thing inside your brain. There is a thing inside your brain. It's tasty and he eats it and he makes it out of flame. Look in the night, look in the dark. Wake him to make his mark. Then you will. I miss my mind. I miss it. It was mine once, but it's gone now. But worm food. You will be worm food.
I'm really beginning to think that this might be a dead end in research. I feel like it's one of those 100-page long papers where I've gotten to page like 61, and I'm really questioning whether this was worth my time.
Tick tock goes the clock, a timer gently running. When it's run, your time is done, and they will come calling.
Hey, Penny, do you have any experience with people like this?
Yeah, I've seen people lose their mind before, and it's usually pretty bad. They start speaking like nonsense and hurting people and themselves, which is what looks like's happening here. But yeah, good luck in there, guys. I'm sure it's real safe. Like,
I have a secret. I have a secret.
What's your secret?
It will make it for you out of your fears. Your darkness will be made flesh. The coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot.
Did he say that last in Abyssal or Common?
That was Abyssal. Go ahead,
Well,
Jen.
what was the secret?
I I will translate.
Well, that's just not very helpful.
I telling you all the best things 'cause you sing so well. What more do you need for me to be helpful?
Well, you've told us all the bad ways that, that egg was bad. Maybe you could tell us all the good things you did before you died.
He can't rub his forehead, but he can tell he wants to. He's there are spaces. I I sang. I gave my friends the gift of hope. I helped them fight the darkness. When we found things that they did not understand, I had studied many things and I could see into them. And my mother, she was Kumasti, and she gave me a knowledge of things arcane that I was able to share with them. When they bled, I healed them. When they suffered, I brought music into their life and gave them gladness. And the realm, it was for the realm. It was for that Kumasti and Dukrai and Thonian stand and dwarves, but we all stand together as equals. That is the gift that Blackmoor has given us. That is the gift of Uther Pendragon. And I stood for. Shut up, Wham! Takoot, 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 takoot.
Now, this is very interesting. This confirms my hypothesis that I made a few years back in a paper that I was writing that stated that bards generally are insufficient and ineffective in parties.
Uh, would you take inspiration, please?
Well, I think I'd like to get out of this room now.
I
Oh,
agree.
don't leave me with the voices. Talk to me more. Sing to me, please.
As Jenna Bink leaves, she will, uh, hum something.
Go ahead and make a performance check. No, no, no. Go ahead and make a performance check. He, no, no. And you guys go out and close the door, correct?
Yeah.
What would you like to do next? Oh, be good. I needed a cup of tea to do that shit.
So I will write down all the things that he said in Abyssal before I lose track of any of them.
You got like a 20 intelligence, right? I'm not even gonna make
Yeah.
a check for that. You basically stop outside, turn, and look at Jenna Bink and say, "This is what he said." All right, and then she makes notes, and then you make notes. So, um, I need all of you to make, and it's your choice. All right, you can make a charisma, an intelligence, or a wisdom save.
Joy.
And Matt, you get advantage on this.
I
All
just picked
right,
two separate roles in the tower.
um, Jenna, you hear the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot. You can't stop humming it. And Penny, you hear the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot. You just can't get that song out of your mind. And Delbert, that was incredibly unpleasant, but clearly he was insane and he'd been possessed, and it's just a matter of structured thought to purge yourself of his influence. Would the two of you please make notes on your character sheet that you have been exposed to the darkness once and failed your save?
Well, that sounds ominous, Tad.
Don't worry about it. These aren't the rules you're looking for. All right. What would y'all like to do now? Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum.
That's really catchy too.
I'd like to go find the Smurfs and start singing that because that would be better. Do, 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 do. I mean,
Smurfs. All right. Go ahead.
Well, let's see. We could either go see Sister Angela or we could go see the Bandolin person. But like the Bandolin person, we probably, as much as I hate to say this, need Idris for.
Then then we should go get an Idris.
We should probably go get Idris. Oh, because yeah, the sisters like isn't aren't they the same religion? And I mean,
He does worship Odir.
yeah, we're probably gonna need him.
So do we want to head to?
All right, out of character. I don't think PJ is freed up from his birthday party yet, although he should be at any time. All right.
Yes, I was hoping that we would, be with crazy person long enough, but clearly not.
So, um, all right.
Ooh, in the interim, Tad, um, are there potions of healing somewhere that we can drag into our character sheet inventories?
Oh, I'll drop them over for you. Yeah, no problem at all.
Danke.
Yeah. I will just I'll drop that in the inventory when it gets relevant. It's not yet. So dun dun dun.
Is there any
You know
place
what?
we can get us?
You got. I'm sorry. What?
Is there any place we can get some psychosurgery to get this song out of our head?
Well, the University of Blackmoor does have, study of, possession. So there are individuals here who sort of specialize in, that particular challenge and issues. So, um, might be someone you can talk to. Something else that does occur to y'all is that this is the University of Blackmoor, and both Jenna Bink and Delbert have unlimited access to the library, so there is additional research you could do, perhaps here too, if you wanted to.
Do we even realize that this is more than just an insidious song in our head?
Um, do you discuss it with anyone? Are you humming it? I mean,
I'm probably just humming it without realizing it.
all right, Delbert,
And yeah,
go ahead and make an intuition check.
Okay.
Okay, that works for this. You hear right next to you, on either side of you, both Jenna and Penny occasionally are humming the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot, and they seem a little distracted, is the best way to describe it. Go ahead and make a Arcana check. All right, you needed that. Okay, you're worried that some sort of psychic imprint has been left on the two of them, because occasionally in sync they are humming the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot. All right, and they don't seem aware of it at all. All right, they're just walking down the street with you, heading over to the library or wherever you guys want to go next. So definitely something's going on here.
Okay. What would Dilbert think would be the best way to handle that?
Um, Given
As
your
far as
role,
like magically, I mean.
Um, well, there's all sorts of rituals that involve exorcism that could potentially be of assistance. It might be a short-term effect and not a long-term effect. They were just exposed to something that potentially had extraplanar and demonic origin, so there may be some sort of taint. The answer may be divine, the answer may be arcane, or it may just be something that they need to, sleep on and see what happens. It's hard to say. You do think, based on your role, that if they were going to be immediately possessed, that would have occurred at that moment, at that time, although that would be unlikely based on how you understand the mechanisms of that event. Most likely, what has happened is they've been touched, quite simply, by madness. And whether that's a long term or a short term effect, only time will tell.
Tad, are you going to make me afraid to have any of my characters sleep again? Is that where this is going?
I certainly think that there's opportunities to inject awesome things into the narrative at the appropriate moment.
Perhaps we should purchase some laudanum.
Oh, why? I mean, laudanum is normally used for, the treatment of mental illnesses and sleep deprivation. I can't, why do you think
Yes.
we need that?
Yeah, what kind of alcohol is that? I never even heard of that.
You
Um,
guys are still singing the coot song.
Well, it's catchy.
Yeah, it's real
Yeah.
catchy. Like, listen, the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot.
I wonder if it didn't touch your minds a little bit, being that close to the madman. These things, they have a way of infecting you. If your mind isn't strong enough, I mean.
What are you saying? I'm fine. I mean, it's just a stupid song. Haven't you ever gotten a song stuck in your head before? I mean, you understood the gibberish that he was saying. How do we know that was abyssal? That could have been blah, blah, blah.
It could have been, but it wasn't.
It's got to be just a song. I don't need stuff. I'm fine.
As you
Delbert,
say,
give yourself inspiration for that. Thank you. And continue, please.
as you say, if you have any nightmares tonight, make sure you mention it and write it down. That would be good too.
Are you gonna be this paranoid about like everything we do? Because it's just a song, man. It's just the coot, the coot, the coot, the coot. It's really catchy and it's great. We both love it. You just don't have any taste. I don't know what your problem is.
I understand. Shall we move on? Um, who are we interviewing next?
You were going to go see Sister, I'm sorry,
Angela?
Sister Angela, yes.
Well, let's go see Sister Angela.
Um, you know, from the main street that travels from the University of Blackmoor directly to Castle Blackmoor. All right, and Castle Blackmoor is actually on an island. All right, that's back a little bit from the city. That's Castle Blackmoor right there. But on that main thoroughfare that runs right there, that has parks to the left of it, and some grounds where formations are taken for military parade and stuff. But that main thoroughfare has the temples, the major temples, in the city there. So there's one for Sartha, one for Encelagath, one for Odir, one for Saquin, and a couple minor shrines for the other gods. But the Temple of Odir, it's like being in New York City and not knowing where St. Patrick's Cathedral is. All right, this is in many ways the spiritual hub of the city, especially for the upper class, especially for the Hythonians. And you walk up to it, and it's about 50 feet of steps up to the main level, and this shrine, this temple, can hold up to 5,000 people at one time, which is, almost the full population of the city of the people that's within the walls. It's massive and it's huge. And legend says that, Odir laid his hand upon the rock and drew this up from the ground as his gift to the people of the north for, holding off the darkness in the invasion of the Chthonian Empire. But that was, 1,000 years ago. Anyhow, you walk up to the top of the stairs, and
So
the
before we would
doors are
have gone
open.
there,
Hmm.
we would have somehow left a message for the Playboy, I mean Idris, and make sure that he would meet us at the temple eventually when it suited him.
I'm going to assume that given a chance to stay, to come back in on the University of Blackmoor's dime, means that he is going to, he'll be staying there, and you can have left messages for him in the morning that you were going to go talk to this guy, and then in the afternoon you were going to go talk to Sister Angela. So you can leave those messages intact for him. You know.
Cool.
And Matt, if you want to text him, that's cool. All right. So you are at the temple. You walk back up the temple. Massive space, huge dome. All right. There's magic in play that makes it look like the night sky. All right. And there's stars as far as you can see, and the raw constellation shaped, and the arc of the arm of the galaxy above you, and you have to stop for a moment, and it is an impressive sight. And a young boy, in the white livery of the temple, walks up and he says, "How may I assist you?" And he is talking directly to Delbert. It's not that he's ignoring the other you two, but clearly he has his priorities. "How may I assist you, good sir?"
We're here to see the lady whose name just escaped me. What's her name again?
Angela, Sister
Angela.
Angela.
Yes,
Oh,
Sister Angela.
oh, uh, very good, sir. And he, says, "Follow me." And, you've got this big dome, and there's arms off the dome. And he takes you around the length of the dome, all right? And there's a second level up above it, and in through this archway into this little small room, and it's got, very nice chairs in it. And he says, "I'll be right back, sir, ma'ams." And he leaves, all right? And there's chairs there, you know what I mean? And there's a, you know, light globe in the ceiling above, so it's very well illuminated here, and there's fresco all around on the walls that are exquisite works of art, showing the war of planetars against devils, so you're there. And about 3, 4 minutes later, a um, middle-aged, early 40s man comes in, all right, and he's got big, thick hands, all right, broad shoulders, and he goes, May. Oh, double Galen. Very good. And he sees the other two, and he says, um, "I'm brother, you know, I'm brother Colwyn, and you are here to see Sister Angela. May I ask why?"
Yes, you may, but you won't receive an answer.
Um, she is delicate, sir, and we reduce her exposure to the population as a result. And if a Galen comes to me and asks to speak to any member of the clergy, we'll of course consider it. But um, I would at least need to know what your intentions are, sir. She has had many horrible things happen to her, and it's in our best interest to make certain that she doesn't suffer any undue shocks, sir.
Be assured that it is matters of state.
Okay, go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage because of how you positioned that.
The coot, 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 the coot.
Oh, hey, so you guys know, the minute you walked into the temple, you didn't feel the song anymore.
Oh, nice.
See, just an earworm.
Just an earworm, right? Just an earworm. All right. Um, Very good, sir. I understand completely. And he stands, he says, "Follow me." Um, and he takes you, opens a door on the other side of this little room you're in, takes you through a hallway upstairs to another level. And there is like a little, it's not quite a library, but there's manuscripts all over, and there's 4 people working to transcribe manuscripts manually. All right. And he walks up to one, and he touches her shoulder, and she turns around a little bit startled, and he whispers something in her ear, and brings her over to you. And she walks forward, and she says, "Fletcher sent you, didn't he?"
Indeed, he did.
All right, all right, and you can see that Brother Corwin is having the other people who are functioning as scribes, you know what I mean, illuminating sacred texts, has them walk out, and she sits down at a table, and you're aware that this space overlooks the main cathedral. All right, and they do work up here, and you can see the shape of the dome, and you're looking right out at the magics that make it look like a night sky. And she sits at the table, she rubs her face, and she, what do you need? How can I assist you?
You need to know what happened down there.
It's
We don't wish to drag you through the trauma again, but we need to know what we're going to face.
um so it's about 7 years ago, and I was relatively new in my orders, and the other people that traveled with me, there was a Peshwa, and there was a dwarf from the mines, and there was a young noble, much as yourself, who was taking sacred orders too. And we had we had some success. We had steadily worked our way down into the depths. We had I it's interesting. It's hard there. It's always the same, but it's not the same. I guess is the best way to describe it. Um, you are in a place of stone. You are in a place that is made of material things, but I swear to you, is someone touched by Odir, you also touch the world of spirit. And always I felt on me attention. Always I felt on me the eyes of others. We all did. And sometimes it made your skin crawl. And sometimes you almost felt like something was there to protect you, to aid you. And there were instances where, I mean, we should have died. And we had protections like sword blow struck aside, enemy trip and stumble, that if that hadn't happened, it would have been the end of at least one of us. And well, the worlds are thin and they seem to touch each other is the only way I can describe it. And I have meditated on this long. I have asked Odir to make clear to me what I have passed through. And in my meditations and prayer, I have determined some things we cannot know with certainty, but that the world beneath is not just one world, but perhaps many. And I do not know this with certainty. Odir does not speak plainly to me. I am not that high in his favor. It is not like it is for some of the saints, where he sits beside them, places their hand on their shoulder, and tells them truth. I do not have that blessing. What I have is my faith, and I find certainty through prayer, and I believe that it is a place that touches many places. So I will tell you, though, I will tell you, there is never enough light below. Never. You are in a place of darkness, and sometimes the darkness almost breathes and whispers beside you. So as you go, make certain that you have light with you. It will buoy your spirit and protect you from the things that crawl through the dark and will haunt you. And so the things you find are sometimes make no sense. We enter the dungeon and we are beset by a horde of goblins. Goblins, common wood goblins. Where they came from, I don't know. And we fought them and we slew them. And then we descend deeper and we find in a level below goblin leaders, a chieftain and a pack of wargs, and we fight and we drive them off. And then we keep moving through the complex. We go deeper. We find a temple to their god. Now, a thrall of Kut was the high priest. He had the glowing blue eyes that that kind does. And we fought, we defeated that, and we lost one of our number. And we brought Carlina back, and she would not return because the temple, the university, will pay to have any of you raised. They offer that as you go beneath, and but she would not return. She chose not to when called back to the light. Deeper we went, we found a level of creatures that had camouflage and snuck about. I have learned since they are called skulks, a colony of them. Farther down, we found hordes of zombies, undead and mass. We found a lair of necromancers and slew them, and then finally we entered a cave filled with demons and aberrations, and my friends one by one went insane. I called upon the light of Adira as my shield and held it from me, but my friends went insane one by one, and they attacked me and tried to kill me, and I had to. I have been forgiven. I have been. The bishop has placed his hands on me and given me absolution, but I had to kill them one at a time. And there was a time when place a mace in my hand, let me fill myself with the wrath of the god, and none could stand before me, but that was pride, and I have been humbled by their loss. And so they died, and I killed them. I will tell you, the deeper you go, voices babble in your dreams, and the farther down you went, the louder they get. But what else do you need to know?
Well, you said that there were times that you felt like you were being protected, but as a cleric, paladin, whatever you are of Odir, doesn't like isn't that just normal for you?
Yes, yes, excellent question. And your name is
I'm Jenabink.
Jenna Bink. Well, summoning the divine is about intention. Hmm? And mayhap it was the hand of Odir, but normally when I call protection upon myself, I speak a prayer to the god, and he shields me with his might. Do you understand this?
Only from an academic standpoint. I'm very much an atheist.
Sister, anytime you wish to speak of the power of the god, I will speak to you. But there is a difference between me calling upon the power of the god to shield me and another force acting externally, and this seemed as if it was an external force. Now, that could have been the hand of the god himself. His ways sometimes are mysterious, but I felt if there was another consciousness at time aware of what we did and shielding us. And there were other consciousnesses at times aware of what we did and hunting us.
Did you ever stop to like talk to any of the people that you saw down there and figure out where they came from? You said there was goblins and like a tribe and stuff. Did you ever, snag one of them instead of bashing their heads in and try and figure out where they came from?
um, we sometimes had prisoners, yes. Um, they spoke of this as their home. They spoke of it as um, if they had always been there. They spoke as if. Um, so the goblins spoke of a migration uh, up from the depths, um, and they spoke of their god Maglabet, and so they saw themselves as divine agents. And I will say, when we slew their priest, and we slew him. But when we slew their priest, he was a thrall. He was possessed by the coot. manipulated them, I am certain.
Well, for what purpose? Like, what were they doing down there?
Um, Fighting for territory, being goblins. It was nonsensical. Uh, why be there? Why occupy there? What possible gain did they have? But they felt that it was their duty to protect, I guess, the dungeon, the castle from us, from any that trespassed. You know how territorial goblins and hobgoblins and orcs are. It manifested themselves in counterattack and rage. uh, so,
You say that you felt like you were on a different world?
yes, yes. It felt, well, I can't explain it. You have to pass through the gate. You have to go into the dungeons yourself, and you'll feel it. You will. Um, it's like the surface of reality grows thin and is tattered. I don't have words for it.
Thank you for your time.
I
I'm
wish
sorry for what happened to you, and I hope that your your seclusion here brings you solace.
she reaches out and she puts her hands on you and she says, "Pray with me, brother." And
Okay.
she
Genevieve closely observes this prayer thing happening.
she takes about 2 minutes to recite, recite the lay of the fallen stars, right? Where when Odir sent his planetars down to defend the North from the dragons and the demons who were attempting to overrun it, and she says, "Thank you, and I wish you His grace and protection as you dwell below. What we do, the sacrifices we make are so important because something malign is below, and if we do not understand it, the cost of the realm may be great. So I give you my blessing." And take another advantage there, okay? Ooh, my felty metagamer kicked in. I got a full rack of them up there. I can pound you guys with stuff. Sorry. She says, "Thank you, brothers and sisters." All right, and she is tearing up a little bit. She stands up and she leaves. And Brother Corwin comes out and he looks at you. All right, looks directly at you at Delbert and he says, "That was well done, brother. You ask her gracious questions and kind questions, and she will be okay. Sometimes it's too much for her and it breaks her to speak of what she passed through, but thank you, that was well done."
So,
You've seen
based
a
on
lot.
that, I think we need more supplies.
Definitely some light sources would be good.
Can you do light things? I haven't quite mastered that with my gadgets yet.
Not other than simple parlor tricks at this point. I think good old fashioned torches would be good for now.
Idris looks pretty strong. He can probably carry things.
Like a torch.
Like a bunch of torches.
Yeah. So wait a minute. You decided to invest all your time in making gadgets that vibrate for long periods of time, but not ones that make light.
That was one of my side studies was the vibrating gadgets. I also had side studies of gadgets that excrete certain noxious things. One of them does like a pool of oil, which causes things to fall down. It's very dramatic. There's one that will shoot out a different substance, very similar, but will actually burn the flesh off of things, especially in things like in close proximity. Um, it's not just the vibrating things. Besides, your human females need options other than things like Idris.
Oh, oh, they're not my human females, and I agree with you, sister. There's definitely something wrong with that man and the woman that follow him around.
Thank you.
All right. We are. Let's see. Um, we have a decision we need to make right now. We can, because PJ's not back and he had an important personal thing going on. We can do the last interview or perhaps some additional research, or we can pause until next week. I'm fine with either option.
My opinion is we've had a solid 2 hours. I'm good with calling it a week.
All right. Um, So, let's, step out of character now, and just let's talk through some things real quickly. So, um, anything that you particularly enjoyed this time that, you thought was useful for understanding what was going on? I mean, anything that you consider a highlight or important for your character that you want to share with the rest of the party?
I think less so from a character standpoint and more of a player standpoint, realizing how insidious the Egg of Coots influence is and how it can spread maliciously even to things not actively under its control
Yes, absolutely.
is a very interesting bit of tidbit to know.
Yeah, I really wanted you guys to feel a sense of scope in terms of what the risk was, So,
Just as a side note for everyone involved, and Tad knows I do this. I have a within Fantasy Grounds a public note where I take notes every session, and I get kind of lengthy with my notes. So feel free as for the other players to read my notes. They are public on the Fantasy Grounds.
what I'll be doing, with this particular session, is I'm going to, post it out to my YouTube channel, which is, Kilgore's Lair. And also, I've got a Discord channel, which is Tadkill right now, Tadkil. So I'm going to be posting it out there also. My social media account on Twitter is Tadkill, and I'm Tad Kilgore on Facebook. So I'm going to be sort of broadcasting it out there. So we're going to post this up there, so folks will have it for an archive, and I will be farming it to a few folks also, so we have it. And I'm going to very much suggest that PJ sits down and gets a chance to watch it also. Good role playing today, folks. I really appreciate the investment and time you're making in the story we're going to tell together. And it was a pleasure to, sort of be, to give you the benchmark of, college elevated top end professor and stark raving mad broken half elf on the other ends. That was real fun for me to do for you. So next week, let's go 3 p.m. Eastern time. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great time and give me a shout out as you need. You have a great day now. Bye.